To the main event we go. John Cena, Randy Orton for the undisputed WWE Championship. Randy comes out. Insane reaction for Randy coming out. And how many times did they have to repeat his theme on the way to the ring? Because this guy milked his song for like ever. This was a long entrance for Randy Orton. He was going Sandman level here.
Yeah, by this point, I was kind of catching up on my buffer. So
this is where you could be 30 minutes behind and you're like, okay, we have in between with entrances. I'll be caught up in no time. I mean,
I'm somebody who never complains about like the length of these in between interstitials and commercial breaks because I just end up skipping them all because I start the show later and it's perfectly fine.
Any season pro never watches these live. Mm-hmm. So Cena comes out, and I mean, I will say that the atmosphere was incredible here at the beginning. Like, they were going nuts for this match before they even touched. So the bell rings. Cena extends his hand, but it's just to lure in Randy, to poke him in the eye, and Randy fell for it. But then Randy pokes John in the eye, so both guys are holding their eyes. Part of me just wanted to watch a whole match where they had to like sell blindness in one eye.
Yeah, I do think that's actually a very valid criticism. Like maybe there is some or lack of communication amongst these agents. WWE tends to like be pretty good about like not making sure like body parts aren't worked on throughout multiple matches on the same show, and spots like this one taking place throughout multiple matches on the show is to me a valid point of criticism.
I wish I was keeping track of this, but it feels in the last like 6 months or so, like the eye poke has just become the go-to, and not just trendy. In WWE. AEW uses it a lot too, but WWE is at another level. That is like the go-to heel move now. It's replaced throwing the shoulder into the post in the corner. That used to be just the go-to in every single match.
Eye pokes so in 2025.
Totally in, yeah. Like let's work over the retina. The crowd is chanting, "You can't wrestle." Yes, he can at John Cena. Go with the latter. Cena goes to leave. He's done. He's done with St. Louis. So Orton goes after him, and Cena goes on offense. I think Pat McAfee's punches look better than John Cena's on this particular night. And Randy gets control and goes on top in the turnbuckle for 20 punches that the crowd counted along with. And then we got a first way dueling sleeper spots back and forth between the two of them.
They weren't even so much sleepers as they were like just straight up headlocks, right? Don't you think?
There was, I think the first one was a sleeper, and then they got kind of lax and they just became kind of, more headlock ish.
Yeah, I mean, I actually felt this was a pretty clever spot, and I wonder if there was some sort of commentary that was attempted here, because these two are of the era where headlocks were just like a constant in every single one of these matches.
Randy loved his headlock spots.
Oh my God. Like it was practically one of his signature moves back then, but like it was a time where in the WWE, it almost felt like, hey, you have to make time for a rest hold, and the rest hold more often than not would be a rear chin lock or a fucking headlock. And I don't know if this was just their attempt at like calling attention to that. Like we're of the ruthless aggression era where everybody had to fit in a 2-minute headlock in the middle of their match. So we're going to battle over headlocks, and then they actually got a great reaction for this little headlock battle.
Well, we were about to get into finisher territory. Okay, we were going to get countless RKOs and AAs, beginning with Orton hitting the draping DDT. He calls for the RKO, but Cena blocks it. And as Cena goes for the AA, Randy comes down into an RKO. So both men are down. Mm-hmm. What this did to me was it kind of shines a light on how the RKO is like a devastating move, not just for the person taking it, but also for the guy delivering it. When it's like you're almost taking the same impact of an AA, minus the rotation off the shoulder. Like you're still taking a giant back bump.
Okay. I don't disagree with you when you're actually injecting real physics into it, but the difference is in professional wrestling, if you are pushed into a back bump, then it becomes an offensive maneuver. If you are willingly jumping up and landing on your back, well, then that shouldn't hurt you at all. And in this case, he was in the middle of being pushed onto his back via AA as he also delivered his RKO.
It's that arc that really does cause the
I thought it was a pretty sweet counter.
I don't know if Cole and Barrett quite knew what it was until the replay aired, but like they hit what they were trying to do here. Like you could see exactly what they were doing here. So they're both down. They get into a strike battle, and we get the AA that is hit, and Randy kicks out. Michael Cole says, "Tonight, this crowd has been invested in every move of every match tonight." And listen, this was a great crowd, but every move in every match. That's very detailed. Cena comes off the ropes with his shoulder tackles and then gets hit with an RKO and he rolls away. So he's in the corner. Orton sizes him up for the punt, but Cena moves away and he hits another AA, which Randy kicks out. So then Cena starts slapping the mat like he's Randy and calling upon the RKO. I was so waiting for a John Cena RKO because I think it would have just been a just glorious disaster if he tried one.
It would have looked like his springboard stunner.
I was waiting for this, but he decides to go for his own punt and he misses Randy's head. And so Cena shoves Orton into the referee. And this was our first ref bump of the match as Chad Patton goes down. Wouldn't you know it, he hits an AA to Randy, and then Cena goes to the floor. He grabs the title. Michael Cole, why? Why are you doing this? And he gets back into the ring, right into an RKO, and the ref is starting to regain consciousness as he comes over, delayed count, so Cena kicks out, and the crowd chants bullshit. So Orton goes to the floor, clears the desk, and we get Cena shoving Orton into Chad Patton. So Chad Patton, as Michael Cole notes, his head slammed into the steps. So we may have a man that has been killed in action.
A ramming into the steps is good, at least for I think a 10-minute ref bump. Yeah.
Lyra Valkyria caught in a disarmer. We'll get all the agents out. Chad Patton potentially severing his head from his shoulders. He can toughen it. He can tough it out. He's fine. So he just lays there for like 5 minutes. Orton, so they do the spot where Orton counters and he delivers an AA to Cena on top of the desk, which doesn't break at first, but then collapses. And you see these two like communicating here on the floor, and they move over to the other side of the ring where Orton pulls out a table and does another AA, putting Cena through the table, and then he takes a drink of Prime.
It just felt like maybe a moment where Orton wanted to deliver a proper table break to this crowd, and so they extended the match a bit to basically redo the table.
Send this crowd home happy. Yeah. Give them their table. So there's an RKO into the ring, and then another referee runs down, only a 2 count. So Cena grabs the belt, misses Orton. He takes out the second ref, Eddie Orango, and then another RKO is hit, but there's no ref. So now the officials come out. Chad Patton, who's in a coma on the floor, but they're in here to check on Eddie Orango. So definitely favored nations here among the referees. All this is in, and Orton is pissed about everything that's going on here, all the ref bumps, so he takes out Nick Aldis for the 3rd time with an RKO, and this time he has not paid the fine in advance, so this will be maybe another $50K, if not more. And then we see Shane Helms, Sean Daivari, and Jamie Noble all take RKOs. The crowd's going nuts for this, and Orton goes for one more punt when who runs in to protect John Cena? R-Truth. And Randy is livid. What are you doing? So he takes out R-Truth with an RKO, and with his back turned, Cena hits a low blow and a belt shot as Chad Patton, he's alive. He returns from the dead and counts 3 as John Cena retains the championship in a match that went, I believe, 27 minutes and 50 seconds.
Okay. Wow. Well, I guess for the last time, maybe that somewhat felt appropriate. Honestly, for 27 minutes, that surprises me because this crowd was really hot throughout the entire thing.
They were very hot for this.
I'm about to give my opinion on this match, and I'm already seeing some of the reactions online, and I'm already starting to realize, okay, this is going to be one of those instances where I might be on an island. But I thought this match was fantastic. I did not expect this level of quality from these two at this point in their careers, having seen this match so often. What to me was novel about the match was that they found a way to have a different type of match than any of the other matches in their catalog, and you're already getting that because the dynamics of their characters are so different. But they played to those dynamics, I think, incredibly well, to the point where I thought this was like some of the loudest reactions that these two have ever received for one of their pairings. I thought the first half of the match, they did a great job of conveying the stalemate between the two. Now, of course, it's two men who have wrestled each other, for decades now. So they showed that by having them counter each other's every move, including each other's 5 moves of doom. Right? They managed to successfully convey that they're both sort of these like equal supermen of their eras with very balanced attributes for one another. And then that even before the shenanigans, I actually was just quite enjoying this match. And to me, I get the sense you might differ, but I thought it showed me that like Cena can still have a good match, and that the Cody match to me was not necessarily an indicator of like what his wrestling level is. Yes, he's not the athlete that he used to be, but I think he's still a good enough athlete to be able to put on a performance like this, going 27 minutes, lifting the crowd up for an extended portion the way that they did. Once they got to the shenanigans, I actually felt like the match got even better. And I mean, talking to our audience, I think a lot of people hate run-ins, and I definitely do hate run-ins when it's overused, when it's lazy, and when it's overdone on, like, let's say just a mid-card TV match, for instance, or even, but like there are instances where I find it appropriate, and this was one of those instances where I kind of found it appropriate. And I just thought every interference, every ref bump, every ebb and flow of the booking here made for a compelling near fall and elevated what was already a really hot crowd even hotter. Every visionary fall, of course, was also done to, ultimately give Randy Orton some level of protection in the loss, and I thought they were successful in doing that. I said, the mark of success for this match would be their ability to get the crowd to bite on at least one near fall, which is, I think, very difficult because this is Cena's first defense after WrestleMania. And this crowd bit on more than one near fall, So in defeat, I thought like this was way better than I was expecting these two. And I thought it was actually one of Orton's probably best singles matches of his recent years.
Yeah, I don't know what the online response has been like. I haven't sought that out. I definitely didn't think this was like bad. I did not think as highly of it as you did, but ultimately this was 28 minutes and you had a crowd that was super engaged for this match. And typically, like, that's your litmus test. Like, did this work for the audience? And it totally did. And quite frankly, I think this is the type of match that would have been way better received if Cody and Cena had put forth something like this last month and you did not get this. And as I said during our preview, I thought that the match, based on how they end it, it could leave people with like a bad taste in their mouth, or they hit the landing and people think very highly of this show. I didn't necessarily think either. Like, I don't think the run-ins were just such groan-inducing. I felt like these two, it's the kind of match that is going to play to Cena's like strengths in 2025. Like, I don't think, like, you need every bell and whistle, I think, for a big John Cena main event these days.
Especially as a heel.
Especially as a heel. And you can get away with doing a lot of this stuff. And listen, they had this crowd amped for 28 minutes. So that was a win. Like, this blew away the Cody match last month. And if you were to tell me these two matches, like, I thought Cody and Cena, I thought they would have had, like, I just thought they would have had like an electric match that would have been more typical of like what him and Randy produced here. So, like, listen, I thought this was like very satisfying for the audience, and I think it was heavily reliant on just spamming finishers, but it was ones that the crowds, they bit on so much in this. Like, it's the run-ins were, it was a ton for me, but like that's where it just kind of just felt as though it was they did what they needed to do. Like, it wasn't my style of like main event that I'm going to.
But if you're watching Cena versus Orton in 2025, expecting like a pure rules, type of match, I think you're probably kind of deluding yourself, right? Like, these two are sports entertainers of a WWE style. There's going to be run-ins. But to me, like, I don't mind run-ins when it's used creatively. And to like, I look at the run-in as like a weapon, or like a move of a wrestler, or of a storyteller, I should really say. And I thought like the run-ins were used well to deliver great near falls in this match.
Yeah, I think it's something that it's a larger aspect of. I feel like on a show like this, like, we don't even have to look at like a longer example list, but when you have a show that like 3 of these matches, they're all contingent on the person that is interfering that leads to the finish. I think like you save that stuff if you're doing a match like this, that you look at that. Maybe this is not the show for a match that is all centered around Judgment Day for a finish. Like the Cobb thing, I think you get away with that. That was a big pop for his appearance. But like at the end of this, listen, these two exceeded my expectations, because mine were very low coming off that Cody match of him and Orton. The idea of going 28 minutes, I just would have thought that it would have dragged, it would have not looked pretty at times, and it would have been overbooked. And you can say it was overbooked. I think that's a fair criticism, but did it work for the audience? You have to be honest there and say that it totally worked for this audience. And I think you came out of it where Randy did not feel like some incompetent babyface in terms of how he was handled. That, like, I look at this R-Truth thing and it's like, I'm looking forward to whatever they have planned for Cena and R-Truth down the road. And you're continuing. This is the one guy that is still loyal to John Cena, and Cena's going to just screw this guy out.
Well, so just on that note, at the press conference, we did have a scene where John Cena put R-Truth through the press table.
Oh my God.
With an AA. So
they did this at the press conference? Oh, I take back everything.
Well, I mean,
why are you doing this at the press conference?
Hold on a second. This is the Levesque playbook. They did a scene. They did an angle. They did the turn for Owens and Cody, not on air at all, through a cell phone.
Do you know how great of a reaction that would be if R-Truth was in the ring and he's just praising his hero John Cena and giving some like heartfelt speech, and Cena fucks him right there in the ring? The crowd, they love this guy.
You could say
You're
that
doing
about
it in front of like 20 media reporters. I did not watch this, so I can't comment on it, but I would have done this in a bigger angle for sure.
You could have said that about Owens turning on Cody as well, right? Like, I mean, I don't disagree with you, but ultimately we know
it was the opposite way. The fear was that you have Owens attack Cody in front of fans, they might cheer Kevin Owens. You're not getting people cheering John Cena for attacking R-Truth.
I wouldn't be so sure about that either.
I feel very strongly on this one.
Anyway, Levesque loves to use his mixed media in order to, tell his stories beyond, the confines of the actual PLE window, right? So this to me just kind of felt like something like that. So it looks like we're getting, I have to think, Truth and Cena, maybe for TV or something. Maybe even
a Saturday night's main event. Like, that's kind of your level of match for a Cena on a Saturday night's main event. I guess. Yeah. I don't really need to see a match between these two, but I guess if you're doing this, maybe they'll go face to face at the next press conference. Maybe we'll have a debate.
I mean, Truth might just end up justifying this action as an action of love somehow, and maybe further the story that way. We'll see.
Okay, well, another award-winning press conference from the WWE.
Are you sad you didn't make it to this one?
No, I can't say I'm regretting not making a trip to St. Louis, Missouri.
Up next, we go to a question from John Pollock after this table break.
Yeah, I want to get your thoughts on the amended complaint that was allowed this week by Judge Russell. This month on the Post Wrestling Cafe, we're bringing you 3 editions of Rewind Away, including an in-depth look at WrestleMania 32 from 2016, a 2003 edition of SmackDown featuring the Iron Man match between Kurt Angle and Brock Lesnar, and a special Patrons Pick where you get to choose what John and Way review. MCU Later returns with a review of Thunderbolts. Pollock and Ting will sit down and talk. We've also got coverage of Wrestling Dontaku, Collision Course every Saturday night, and of course, XL editions of Rewind, a Raw, Dynamite,
Dynamite and SmackDown. $6 a month gets you in the door at postwrestlingcafe.com.